As future players wait anxiously for Life by U's early access game to release in March 2024, players have really only been given hints and clues as to how their Life by U characters will behave in the game. Players everywhere want to get to know who their Life by U characters will resemble and how they'll be able to tell their stories in the game, and last Friday, just as I was finished editing my September recap video, the Paradox Life by U team drops the traits video, and I want to take a closer look. For those that are just discovering my channel, my name is Michael, and I want to welcome you to Sovereign Gaming in Life Sims, the YouTube channel where I build worlds, lots, and share my thoughts on video games that I enjoy in the life simulation gaming space. As a life simulation gamer from The Sims 1, I've really had my fair share of funny stories based on the personalities of my Sims. I've had pool parties turn tragedies with drowned kids since there was no ladder. There's an investigation still pending, I don't want to discuss that. I have had Agnes Crumplebottom in The Sims 3 show up to a dive bar and got into brawls that she won. And I have even had a vampire sim that I couldn't keep out of the sun because they love the heat and they love to suntan. It is without a doubt that the personalities of simulated characters adds to the experience of a life simulation game. And even though I did my September recap last Sunday, I want to take the time and really comb through the latest Life by U video on traits with a fine-tooth comb, as this gameplay mechanic is super important to discuss and analyze. As suggested in the title today, I'm really only covering my analysis on the video. Originally, I was going to cover the blog as well, but after reading the blog, I kind of realized that the blog really warranted a much deeper dive as well in a separate video, because it does have a wealth of information in there too. So I highly recommend that you read the blog if you haven't already. Anyways, let's dive into watching the video a bit, and then I'll pause to share my thoughts. And again, I did read the blog, but I'm going to be doing a separate dive on it in an upcoming part 2, so you can look forward to that. But for now, let's do the video.
Hi everyone, it's Community Manager Rocio with a special video this week. This is accompanying our senior game designer Lauren's blog post on our website. You can find the link in the description. As you can recognize from the character creator, we're going a bit more in depth on traits this week. You can find more full descriptions of what each of the types of traits are and what they're all used for in the blog, but here we wanted to show you what they looked like in-game. In the human editor, you can see all of the different types of traits, all your likes and dislikes, and edit them here. Moving on to one of the traits that Lauren mentions in her blog is athletic. So here, this character, I've made her both athletic and active. The active lifestyle trait will make her more likely to do fitness activities, and the athletic trait will make her better at improving. To see what this looks like in the character menu, you can see that confident, a temporary condition, has popped up. This came from her workout and will last 81 minutes. Look at that well-earned confidence. Now let's look at an example of an attitude. In this case, hot-headed makes your anger quicker to increase. Here we see our character yelling at this fridge, and you'll see the impacts of it once we head to the character screen. As you can see, she's going to be angry about this encounter for the next 103 minutes. Much like confident, you can see that this is a temporary condition, and we want to show one more temporary condition that you can get from your likes and your dislikes you can see here below. Let's take a look at how much she likes art. Here we have Florette looking at a piece of art that's in her house. Even though she may not be in the best mood right now, looking at art is one of her likes, so it should still impact her current conditions. We look here and yeah, she's angry, she's confident, but she's still happy for the next 89 minutes.
There's something that I really want to point out, which is that when the Life by U team refers to traits, the word traits refers to personality traits, conditions, emotions, need states, relationships, object states, and timers. In the blog, all of those are types of traits that it outlines, and I just wanted to reiterate that again just because it was mentioned in the blog, and I know I just said I'm not reviewing the blog, but that was a little important thing that I wanted to just kind of carry over into here. So maybe I'm just saying this out loud to myself, but I really wanted to reiterate that the language that is being used in publications does not carry the same meaning as to what the life simulation gaming community is used to. In other words, the Paradox Life by U team is using the word trait that is understood differently by those of us who play The Sims, and so this can cause confusion if we're not consistently reminded that there is a different context here. And although I am not crazy over the fact that the word trait was chosen as the term to communicate this aspect of gameplay, I can certainly understand that it holds a different meaning in Life by You versus The Sims. And this was a huge question that I had put forth in one of my earlier videos. And to be fair, the Paradox Life by You team has discussed this before in Black and White 2 in previous videos of theirs as well. So it's not like this is new information, but I really just wanted to appreciate that the clarity is there to really reinforce itself so that we're all talking about the same thing when we're talking about traits. So I do just want to say, yeah, thank you for that. And like this kind of thing is certainly there to help educate us more, as I know I can really only speak for myself, but I do sometimes tend to forget little details like that. So it doesn't do me any favors because sometimes I confuse myself. But when it comes to the terminology traits, it's always good to just kind of have that reminder there. And I feel like we need small reminders like this to really retain concepts more accurately going forward. In other words, thank you, Life by Team, for reinforcing the meaning of the word traits for me specifically. Just because, yeah, I needed that reminder personally, and I'm glad it was there. So I wanted to make sure that you guys also share the reminder as well. Let's get back to the video. Okay, so in the example that I paused up to now, Rocio is walking us through the behaviors of conditional traits, and from what I can tell, how they can suppress or support each other. All of this kind of technical behavior is actually explained in the blog. And again, I am going to give that reading to you guys for homework at this point, because the blog honestly answers more questions on how conditional traits behave and all of that. So there's a lot of technical details in there, and if you haven't read it, I really recommend doing so, because this video very much goes hand in hand with that blog. And if you read the blog, you'll see that Florette's personality traits are divided into lifestyle, talents, attitudes, quirks, likes and dislikes, and background traits in the pop-up window. This kind of categorization is really what is going to establish Life by You as a true Goliath in the next generation of life simulation games. This kind of customization for your character's personality is insane, impressive, and straight up shocking, knowing that the player is also given the tools to design their own traits to read as gameplay within Life by You. Like, I could get into how this game can teach you how to program and code, but that's for a whole other video for a whole other time. I just really wanted to pause here and say, like, well done, Life by You. You guys are really setting the bar high to heights that I don't even think that the player base ever imagined. And yeah, like the personality traits that were just shown with this character alone, like these are personality traits. These aren't even like object traits, for example, or object states or need states or anything like that. We're just seeing the personality traits in this specific example, in this specific video. So yeah, I'm just really blown away by the amount of customization that is that's really placed into the hands of the players right from the jump. So yeah, great job, Life by You. Let's continue watching.
Now we're going to add a trait that Lauren called out in her blog, eccentric. Much like previous videos, to add or remove, you just use the plus and the minus. We're going to go ahead and just search for eccentric and add that. Now that our character's set, let me show you what it does. Eccentric is a type of quirk. So like shameless or fickle, which Lauren mentions in the blog, it basically allows you to bend the rules of the game. In the case of eccentric, you can talk to inanimate objects. Now for the more technical side of traits, we go to the mod tools. Looking at the tags here, you can see the different ones that Lauren outlines, including the different life stage tags so that you can determine who will be able to use this, as well as whether it'll appear in avatar creation or what type of trait it is.
On a personal level, sometimes like I'm against speculating to start rumors, but in the tags, there is a human traits tag. Now, I am definitely not suggesting that pets or animals will make it into the early access game or even in the base game, but I think that it is important to note because it sets up this game as a franchise that can expand into that kind of gameplay, possibly offering the same level of customization for non-human characters, if they chose to do so. This could also be like used to differentiate between human characters and objects, or maybe even clothing. but I really don't know, to be honest with you guys. But I did want to kind of point out that there is like a human traits tag, and yeah, it really sets up this game for some good some good gameplay in the future if they choose to expand on that. It kind of just gives the developers the powers to actually integrate new features into the franchise in the future and all that. So, you know, I just wanted to point that out there. But I also love how, this setting up a tag like this really helps to future-proof a franchise, and that's really what I was trying to get out there, and I just wanted to recognize that. Anyways, let's continue.
These are the main types of tags that we're using in our trait creation. You can, of course, create your own tags to use them however you'd wish, either for searching or for different dynamics that you're trying to create when you mod. Now for a quick overview of what Lauren talks about in terms of script editing. So here you can see that there are different scripts for different stages of this trait. This is a temporary trait, caffeinated. This part of the trait is added when the trait is first assigned to the person, so you can see it affects rest as well as starts counting how many cups of coffee you've had. There's also on renew traits, which is basically every time that trait is reassigned. In the case of caffeinated, it starts counting how many cups of coffee you have. And the final part of the script is when that trait is removed. So for caffeinated, you can see that once you remove that trait, you crash. You get a caffeine crash. Lauren goes into that and these tags a little bit more in her blog. Finally, a little bit more on interaction script wrappers. As Lauren describes them, these are a burger bun around the interaction meat patty, basically allowing you to add commands before and after functions. This basically allows you to add a bunch of the same useful commands to a tag, that way you don't have to go through each one individually, such as a bunch of different types of exercises in the case of fitness. And that's it for this brief overview. Lauren answers more questions and goes more in depth in the blog, which is linked in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.
Life by You seems like a video game that is simply greater than the sum of its parts. This level of customization on any game mechanic is unheard of across all video game genres as far as I'm aware. Like, I don't think that I can honestly name one video game where you are given a designed UI menu that allows you to program functions in the background, not without opening up a WordPad document and trying to wrap your head around boolprop or complicated what-if statements. So yeah, this is pretty mind-boggling, and I don't think I've given Life by You enough credit up until this point really for that kind of gameplay, but this really stood out to me here. And a big reason why I am dividing my analysis into two parts is because the blog gets very technical and very deep with what you can actually design in the background. And what makes this video and blog content pair differently from the rest in the content in the past is that they are cohesive and they actually complement each other perfectly. Just speaking to the lack of storytelling cohesion that I have observed in the past, like, the video gives us what it looks like in the game and the blog explains how to make it happen. I just want to say again, like, great job everyone on the Life by You team. This is the kind of content that gets players excited because we are again shown a shining strength of Life by You and how we can actually customize our gameplay to tell the stories that we want within a life simulation game. And that is like a level of customization that's really been unheard of, and I would even dare to say unimagined. Unimagined before. Never imagined before. It was never imagined before, and never something that I would ever think to even ask for in the next generation of life simulation games. So if a player takes the time to really map out what they want to do within a trait or how they want it to function, they can literally design any kind of trait or condition that they want to make, and they can make it happen actually within the game. In previous videos, I have given feedback where I do question whether something is practical or not, such as having like a rank 100 dishwasher, for example. But even though I appreciate the flexibility and freedom to do that, I can see the trait customization mechanic and the trait editor tool being nothing but practical for players everywhere. Like, no longer will we have to download a shady script mod off the internet after fighting through like 4 interstitials for a download link that may or may not have a Trojan in it. Long gone are those days. And let me tell you, I don't want to relive those days ever again. But yeah, I really also need to give Life by You team a ton of credit, like when it comes to designing the back end as well, with the trait editor, because this is very much adding a lot of effort into a back end program where other games and all that may not actually look into doing. Like getting it all to look consistent with everything else is not only something that makes it easy to use for players, but this kind of UI can also build real programming skills in players. I personally barely know my way around a line of code, but even I can see how by adding in some shapes and menus and the color scheme that they use, that the user interface of the back end, like in these editor tools, can be used as a teaching tool for programming. Specifically, the language that is used in these editing editor tools. I keep calling it the back end for some reason. I don't mean to. Okay, so the language used in the editor tools is something that I actually recognize in some of the beginner programmer training that I have done way in the past. So it's all stuff that is coming back to me in sort of a roundabout way here. And if there are any parents watching this, like if you want to get your kids into programming and coding, then getting them Life by You and asking them to customize your game for you would be a great start. The language used in the back end is similar to programming, and they can also get like an immediate digital reward for it, which in this case is new gameplay. And a use case like this for a video game is outstanding and really unheard of, and something that I would never expect to ask for. So I'm not trying to suggest that this is a teaching tool at all, but it is certainly something that can get somebody interested into programming. Think of it more like your gateway program into programming and coding and all of that. This follows very similar patterns and logistical skills that you need there. So yeah, great job, Life by You. This just went really above and beyond. But you know, like that's really enough about the video. In the blog, Life by You gets even more technical, and I do want to dive into that as well, since I feel like there is much more gold to be dug up from that analysis than really from this video here. This video just, to me, it just kind of shows you the effects of what you can do, whereas the blog actually describes how to do it and how to edit traits and all of that. So I'm very excited to actually analyze the blog of it all with you guys, just because, yeah, there's just a lot more to talk about. There's a lot more to get excited about. Even though it's not as speculative as some of my videos have been in the past, this is all very exciting nonetheless in terms of what we can customize. And, you know, again, to be fair, Life by You has been very transparent about being able to customize everything. I just think that this time, like what makes it different with this pair of content is just that there's a lot more cohesion. Like we get that blog where we're really taught how to do things and what certain terms mean and all that. And then actually seeing it in the video is something that really pairs very well together. And I think it just shows Life by You in the greatest light that it deserves to be shown in. So again, you know, great job, Life by You team. You guys really knocked this one out of the park. At this time, I want to open the floor and I want to hear what you have to think about the latest Life by You video. Do you think that the video shows something never seen before in life simulation games? Or do you feel overwhelmed by choice and customization options? Do you think that designing custom traits in a video game is the gateway drug to programming? Or is this kind of gameplay just simply not your cup of tea? Comment below with your thoughts. I just kindly ask that you are respectful. I want you to please be on the lookout for part 2, where I will actually dive into the blog this time round and talk a lot more tech there. There's a lot of interesting things and thoughts that I share within part 2, so I'm very excited to see you guys there as well. And until next time, I just want to thank you for watching, and if you'd like to see more videos like this one, then feel free to like this video and consider subscribing for more content like this. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful day.